What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Coast to Coast podcast, Wild Card Weekend edition. We had a good slate of games on both Saturday and Sunday. Starting off with the Bills defeating the Colts. I mean, it came down to pretty much the last play. We had a controversial fumble call, but I mean, Josh Allen played great. He got it done on the ground and through the air. He was on fire the whole game. What do you have to say about this one, Liam?
Yeah, so I think, a good game for this Buffalo team to show that they're not no joke, like especially against an Indianapolis team who's got a really good, front seven out there. You got Darius Leonard and you got DeForest Buckner, both top of the players, the positions in football. But Stephon Diggs continues to be unguardable. On 9 targets, he's got 6 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown. They're going against the Ravens next week, which will be an interesting one to see against how he goes against Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. But you still got to remember, they still got Cole Beasley. They still got Gabriel Davis. They still got Dawson Knox. They still got John Brown. So this team is still loaded at the receiving position. I think it'll be a test for them to be able to see how to defend Lamar Jackson. But then again, just look on this other side, the Colts. I don't think Philip Rivers played too bad, but his completion percentage wasn't the greatest. He still had a good QBR and a good rating. But Jonathan Taylor, I expected a little bit better production from him. 21 carries or 78 yards and a touchdown. That was good. But one of the players I did say play well for the Colts, though, Michael Pittman Jr., 5 receptions, 90 yards, pretty good game for himself. And then Jack Doyle had some good plays out there. But, honestly, Jose mentioned that controversial fumble, Zach Pascal, I believed it was a fumble. I did watch that game. But, interesting thing for this Indianapolis team going into the offseason. We'll have to do a review for them heading into the offseason where we think they'll be going with their team. But anything to add, Carson?
Yeah, I really like their game plan against the Bills. I mean, the best thing to do is just, run the clock out, just keep Josh Allen off the field. It's very similar to, if you can try and beat the Chiefs, that's how you do it. And they really look good. I mean, their tight ends all played really well. It seemed like Mo Alley Cox was always catching passes. Doyle was doing really well as well. And they had a solid game plan. They just, couldn't get it done in the end. But I think, they put up a really strong fight, and just the Bills just showing, they're legit, man. I think, obviously the Steelers were frauds, but, it's going to be neck and neck with them and the Ravens. And then hopefully, they get to the Chiefs, and that's going to be an amazing game. But, yeah, shout out to the Colts, man. And, you mentioned their offseason. They really are like a quarterback and just like a receiver or two away, I think, from being being right there with the Chiefs and everyone else at the top of the AFC and being like a real Super Bowl contender. Because this team's good, man. Just all over the place. They have ballers everywhere on the lines, defense, and they have a really bright future for sure. And then, as you said, for the Bills, they just balled out, man. Keep doing what they've been doing all year. Davis stood out to me a lot. I mean, obviously Diggs, did his thing, but Davis, was making plays all over as well. And he's going to be scary next year as well. And that receiving core is just dirty. Just too many weapons.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Colts, I'm throwing the house to try to get Deshaun Watson. But
for sure.
Yeah, but the Bills, I mean, Zach Moss went down. I think he's out for the rest of the postseason. So they should look to Allen pretty much as their sole rusher with a complement of Devin Singletary. So, yeah, we'll see how they match up against the Ravens next week. But moving on to the Rams defeating the Seahawks 30-20. I mean, Russell Wilson was out there, just didn't look like his usual self. I think he's pretty much just regressing in his career as he's getting older, because he has the pieces. I mean, he has the weapons. Obviously the O-line is banged up, but I just don't know what it is. You guys have any thoughts on this?
Carson?
I don't think it's age because, I mean, literally the beginning of the season, he was balling out. I mean, he was, breaking records, dropping a whole ton of fantasy points. So I don't really know if it's age for him. I just, I don't know if it's been the play calling, maybe they've been, not as aggressive with the play calling, or maybe it was just the game scripts early, but I don't know if it's age for him. I think it's just, maybe they need a coaching switch. I don't know. I don't know if they'll get rid of Pete Carroll just because he's been there so long. He's such a integral part of that organization, but I think, definitely an OC change might be good for them. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird to see him. And I lost some money because I don't like betting against Russell Wilson in the playoffs. And then he did not look like himself at all. Just weird. But I mean, the Rams defense is amazing. They're legit for sure. And they're going to be a tough out regardless of, how kind of shaky their offense is.
Yeah, I mean, going into this next week, they're going against the Packers, and this is kind of the dream matchup I was looking for to see Jalen Ramsey, one of the most all-around corners in football, go against Devontae Adams, which is going to be an awesome thing to see. But I think the key going into this game for the Rams, it's going to be Cam Akers. Cam Akers really played a really good game this weekend, 28 carries, 131 yards, and a touchdown. And, a Packers defense that's been suspect against the run. And this offensive line for the Rams has been playing really well. So if Cam Akers can get his game going, Goff's not got to do too much. He's got the game manager out there. I mean, they still, Jair's going to be locking up Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. So it's going to be this run game that's going to tell the story. But, for this Seattle team, like you said, maybe need to go out and get a young mind offensive coordinator, so from college that's going to bring, some more energy to this team. I know their offensive coordinator, they had that team. It seemed like it switched scripts, The offense was really heating up in the beginning, and that defense was, on record pace to be the worst defense of all time, and then just switched all of a sudden. Like, I think since halfway point, the Seahawks have like the second most sacks in the NFL, all this stuff, and then this Seattle team just flared out. He thought DK Metcalf was going to have a Megatron kind of season. I mean, he did play well, but it is what it is. But I think this team definitely needs to address, need to get a more secure pass rusher. Carlos Dunlap is going to be aging. They got a good year out of him. Let's see what happens. First round pick Jordan Brooks got to put some work in, but I'm really excited for this Rams Packers game. It's going to say a lot about Aaron Rodgers going against the best secondary in the league this year for sure. And they don't have David Bakhtiari anymore, so Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald, they're going to have a field day going after Aaron Rodgers. So definitely a game that I'm keeping my eye out for next weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Definitely.
Aaron Donald could literally single-handedly lead this team to the Super Bowl. I feel like. I mean, he's just out there. He's just making plays every single down. He's out there making plays, and I mean, this O-line for Green Bay is pretty banged up. And Aaron Donald about to be Super Bowl MVP.
Like a Von Miller type run. That's what they need from him.
Yeah, I mean he's literally their key piece right now because, I mean, their offense, they're out here running a quarterback by committee. Yeah, but. Moving on to the Buccaneers defeating the Washington football team 31-23. A game that was closer than I expected. I mean, a pretty good game from their third stringer, Taylor Heineke. Is it Heineke?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I just want to call him Heineken.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was a tale of the Sims. You had 7 for 104 for Cam, 3 for 33 and a touchdown for Steven. I mean, just – a great game from a QB like this. Do you guys think he's their starter moving forward?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put too much faith in it. I mean, I saw some plays out there. I mean, but then when you look at the stats, you got a QBR of 63.2 and a rating of 78.4. It wasn't the greatest game, but then again, I mean, was he given the right tools? Was he in the right position? He just got thrown in there going against one of the NFL's, one of those elite teams. But, I think they still need to they need to see if they can find a way to get a quarterback in this year's draft. Maybe trade up for Trey Lance. I know Trey Lance has a scramble ability. He can, go out there and put some moves, like Tyler Heineke can out there. But I think this defense is solid. I mean, I'm really proud of this Washington team, the way they've come this season. I think they have a lot of promise in this division.
Yeah, man. I mean, what a story. Like, Coach Rivera, going through what he was going through and, just the whole team rallying behind him. And yeah, I was surprised as well. They put up, such a great fight. With Heineke, I think they could try. And I think he played well enough, they can maybe try and go with him next season. Just because, their core and what makes them so great. They're very young. I think they could, have another year, see if, he may be the guy or not. But I think they're very similar to the Colts. They're really just, maybe another receiver or two. And then a good quarterback away from being legit, just owning this division for the next, few years. And then as for the Bucs, I mean, they played well. Gronk was, did all he could against Chase Young. He actually held him. Did a really great job blocking, even as old as he is. And yeah, the Bucs, the Bucs look legit as well. Who are they playing next week?
The Saints.
Obviously. Saints. Oh my God. The next round is going to be epic. We have some amazing matchups for next week for sure. But yeah, I mean, the story was the football team for sure. Just putting up an amazing fight.
Yeah. And I think going in the next season, Antonio Gibson's going to get a lot of, people looking at him. I know on this podcast as well, we've been talking about how much like we think Antonio Gibson's going to have a breakout season next year. And then also looking at the Bucs, it's going to be interesting because the Saints have owned the Bucs this year. They've blown them out every time they played them. So it'll be interesting to see, now Antonio Brown's back in the swing of things. I think Antonio Brown debuted against the Saints, their second time playing each other. But now Mike Evans played well this game. Chris Godwin played well this game. I don't know about the status of Rojo. Hopefully he's back because that's just going to add more to this offensive power of the Tampa. You don't think Rojo's going to do much?
No, I think it was like a quad or hamstring injury.
He's not coming back. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back. At least not this week.
Yeah.
And if he is, he won't be at 100%. I mean, those type of injuries are real tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to tell a lot about this Tampa Bay team and Bruce Arians. I know Bruce Arians might be on the hot seat if they aren't able to, get a win against the Saints. So definitely a game to pay attention to.
I'm expecting Evans to not be a factor because it seems like every time they play, Lattimore just shuts him down. But it's this team's so dangerous because AB has been coming on strong late in the season. Godwin's been playing really well the last few weeks of the season. Let's just see if the Saints, because it's hard to cover all three of those guys. I mean, all three of those guys, when they're healthy, they're all elite. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the Ravens defeating the Titans in a nail biter, 20-13. After starting off the season 6-5, they now defeat the Titans. Lamar gets his first playoff W. I mean, he threw a pick early on in the game, but he came back, remained poised, and the defense just shined for them. They held Henry to at 40 yards. And then Marcus Peters with the interception to seal the game. Just a really great performance from the Ravens. This team looks locked in and ready to make this run at a Super Bowl.
Carson, what do you guys say?
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, the defense, Lamar and the defense were the highlights. I'm so happy for Lamar, just, finally, getting that, monkey off his back, finally, getting that playoff dub. And obviously, he didn't have the craziest passing numbers or anything, but he just got the job done. He was incredible on the ground. They couldn't stop him at all. I mean, that 50-yard run he had was insane. And just, to see the Ravens shut down the Titans and, because their offense has been so explosive, especially, last few weeks of the season. I mean, to shut down Henry, hold Brown as well, two elite playmakers. It's just incredible. And, their defense, I mean, it seems like the Ravens always have, such an elite defense and just showing. And I think, that's what's really going to take them to the top.
Yeah, and it's also good to see Marquise Brown play a good game. I mean, obviously the secondary isn't that great, but I mean, I know Carson was really disappointed in this year in fantasy-wise, but he came out 7 receptions, 100.
I might have to hop back on the bandwagon next year, honestly.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But I mean, a good outing from this Tennessee defense, though. At least they got 5 sacks, 6.5 TFLs. Solid performance out there for them. But when it comes down to it, they have a lot of things to address on defense this offseason. And I think if they get that, they can become a really scary team going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think their main objective going forward is just to stop Diggs. I mean, you can't let Peters get beat over the top. I mean, even if it's not Diggs, they still have Davis, they still have Beasley. So, I mean, it's just to contain that that receiving core is really their main objective because they were able to hold Henry, but, Buffalo, they play a completely different style of football. They don't really have a Derrick Henry. So it's going to be like a shootout pretty much.
It's just the Ravens, that's the thing. I don't really trust them in a shootout because they really don't put up that many points.
Yeah.
So it's either Lamar's just going to have to run all over the field and score touchdowns, or he's going to have to get in a shootout and just, throw the ball all over the place, which I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I want to see if he can do that or not.
Yeah. I mean, just like you said, just try to keep him off the field, burn as much clock as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but moving on to the Saints defeating the Bears on Nickelodeon, 21-9. I mean, did you guys really like the Nickelodeon stream?
It was kind of cool. I mean, I saw some clips from it. They had the young Sheldon explaining what all the flags were and everything. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, hopefully, they can generate some more, fans coming from younger generation. But I think at the same time, it was kind of fun for us to see, grown up now to see like the Nickelodeon factor into it with the slime and everything. But the game was not as interesting as that was. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
it's pretty
if you're gonna
disappointing that
have
they
a
had to
game,
show the kids the Bears. Well, like out of all the
yeah,
games.
yeah, that's what I was about to
Sorry, keep
say.
going.
Why didn't they do the Browns and the Steelers?
I know.
Exactly. That game would have been crazy
That would
to
have
like
been so
have the
fun.
Nickelodeon. All right, but no, getting
Yeah,
into this game
especially
though,
this
I
division.
mean, Alvin Kamara did play a really solid game, 23 carries, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Also added 2 catches, 17 yards in the air. But then again, it just wasn't the greatest of games anyway. I mean, I know Jimmy Graham, had that late touchdown. Probably pretty sentimental for him, given that he's been known as like the
Mhm.
best tight end in Saints history. No argue about it. But
Mhm.
David Montgomery got slowed down this game, especially the tear he's been on recently, putting up Walter Payton kind of numbers for the Bears. But I think this team, they got to – I don't think Trubisky's the answer as much as, he won the Nickelodeon MVP, whatever the hell that means. People just clicked vote for him. But I know I saw something that they should maybe try and trade Khalil Mack and go try and trade up to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft. I think that'd be a great idea because when it comes down to it, Khalil Mack's going to regress one way or another. He's not, Aaron Donald kind of defensive player that he used to be. I mean, he's still, bringing impact, but I think that they go a younger direction. They can still, have a pretty solid defense, but improve this offense because if they don't do a move like that, Allen Robinson's leaving. So
I think he's gone regardless, to be honest.
yeah,
Just the way that
Trubisky definitely not the answer. Yeah, he's not the.
Yeah, definitely not the answer.
But yeah, the Saints just really didn't look convincing. I mean, I think they have to turn it up a notch on offense if they want to keep up with the Bucs. They've got to find a way to put up more points. I mean, you put up 21 in a pretty mediocre fashion on the Bears. It's like that's not going to fly with the Bucs.
Yeah, I mean, your top 2 receivers, Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, Michael Thomas, had 73 yards, a touchdown catch, but Emmanuel Sanders had 2 catches for 3 yards. Like, what value is that bringing? Especially, this Tampa Bay secondary that's been, pretty suspect. As good as Antoine Winfield's been, he has the worst passer rating when targeted in the NFL amongst, eligible players. So this is going to be a big scoring game for sure. I'm expecting because as good as this Saints defense is, it's going to be hard to stop 3 wide receivers who, in their primes, have been Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, moving on to probably the most entertaining game, seeing the Browns slaughter the Steelers 48-37 after going up 28 in the first quarter. I mean, what a great season for the Browns. Great for Baker. Good to see them, really get it done and stick to the game plan. Like I said, run it down their necks. I mean, we saw Chubb get involved in the air as well, and then Hunt had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Just a great game overall from the Browns defensively and offensively, and probably the craziest stat line I've seen for Big Ben: 47 of 68 for 501 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 picks. Just insane. What do you have to say, Liam? Yeah,
I mean, especially without Denzel Ward, their number 1 corner, drafted number 4 overall, I believe 2017, 2018. A good performance from this Cleveland secondary has been terrible, Shout out Sheldrick Redwine, Miami University alum, got a pick out there this weekend. But TJ Watt was pretty much neutralized this game, though. I mean, he had 1 TFL and 1 pass deflection, which you don't want to see out of the defensive player of the year. But when it comes down to it, this Cleveland team has a really good offensive line, one of the top 3 units in the league. As much as they like to hate on Juju did play a pretty good game. I mean, 19 targets with 13 receptions, 157 yards and a touchdown. Deontay Johnson also played well, went over 100 yards, and Claypool had 2 touchdowns. But when it comes down to it, I wouldn't really blame the offense put up 37 points. If one of the top units in the NFL allowed 48 points at home, it's just a terrible sight to see. Pittsburgh, again, I keep repeating myself like a broken record. They do have a lot of things to answer in the offseason. 52 rushing yards is not going to get you anywhere. I think they need to go out and get a dynamic back. I was talking to one of my friends earlier. I think they should go Travis Etienne. I think he can bring that Le'Veon Bell kind of, mentality that he had, try and bring back, the Triple B's energy. I think Ben Ben Roethlisberger is on his way out though, so we'll see if they go. Probably a veteran quarterback. I think with this unit would be better, but good showing from the Browns though, and I think Chiefs Browns. Hopefully we see the offensive power that we saw between Texas Tech and Oklahoma a few years back.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, this is like shootout territory. Like we could see another Chiefs Rams type of game. Like 45-42 or something. I'm really excited for this game. I think the Browns have a lot to prove, and I think that out of all the AFC teams, they pretty much are the biggest challenger to the Chiefs because they have they're the most complete. I know that we have the Bills, but I think the Browns they're really going to challenge the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Carson, you got that? Yeah.
Yeah, like the Browns, I mean, they could get blown out by the Chiefs and it'd still be such a successful season for them. Just the fact that they won a playoff game after, so many years of, despair and sadness from Browns fans. Just awesome to see. That's funny you mentioned ETN. I was watching the game with a couple of my friends, and I literally said the same thing. I was like, go get like a guy like ETN or someone like that in college. Desperately need a running, just literally anyone besides Connor or Snell, just to get add that part, add that dimension to their team. So yeah, and like it's just weird because you're thinking like, okay, it's the Steelers, they got Big Ben, Tomlin, they're gonna come out prepared and ready to go. I mean, it's the playoffs. I mean, they can't just suck like they had the last couple weeks, and they still did. I mean, they gave me a lot of Clippers vibes. NFL version of the Clippers.
Yeah.
So just glad that they're out of the playoffs, and yeah, just good for the Browns. Like you guys said, the shootout, I'm hoping for that as well. Get Kareem Hunt in there, catching a ton of passes, and yeah, Browns look good, brother. Finally, like crazy to say, the Browns are legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably take. I don't know what the over is for this next game with the Browns and the Chiefs, but I'd probably take the over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But then again, if Cleveland decides to take the way of just pounding the ball, because that's what happened. That's how the Raiders were able to beat the Chiefs. The one real loss on the Chiefs this year was that they just pounded the ball with Josh Jacobs and Devontae Booker. So, I mean, if there's any unit that can do that, it's going to be this Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt backfield. And Kareem Hunt, I'm expecting him to have a big game, not really a revenge game because, the way things ended there, made sense for the parting of that. But hopefully he can show out against his former team. But,
yeah,
the MVP himself, former MVP himself, Patrick Mahomes, we'll see how he plays this game. There's been a lot of critics talking about that. They haven't won a game by 10 points or more since they played the Jets in week 8 or 9, I believe. So they're going to need to show out. And, Patrick Mahomes needs to show why he is the most talented quarterback in the NFL.
I was thinking about Odell this game, and I'm just thinking, when he comes back, maybe, let him play, get his value up. But I think just trade him. I mean, they've been so good without him. And just try to get something for him because I think they don't really need him. Their young receivers are coming to play. Landry, is doing what Juice does. And I think just, flip him. I think they've been like ever since he went down, they've been playing, really, really good football. So I think just try to get something for Odell. Like if there's any hole, maybe go get like a player in the secondary, that can help out because I think that's, probably the weakest part of the Browns.
Yeah, it's like you and I said, like, should they have really done the Julius Peppers trade? Like, who knows? Like, I think he'd bring some good value to this team, but they can probably get something good for Odell, especially for teams looking for, some wide receiver help.
Yeah, the current money line right now for the Chiefs-Browns game is -500 for the Chiefs and +300 for the Browns, with the point total at 55.5.
I still like that over. Yeah, I still like that over.
I mean, that's kind of – I didn't think it was that lopsided, but
that's let's see.
It's just all respect for the Chiefs. And Andy Reid is really great, like, when he has, time. Like, I guess not technically a bye, but – or, yeah, I guess a bye. And he's, historically really great on a bye. So,
yeah, but we'll be back next week to analyze the next round of the playoffs. This is Jose signing out. This has been the Coast to Coast podcast.
Hey, and big game tonight for college football, though, by the way. College football national championship, Ohio State versus Alabama should be a good one. But, yeah, without further ado, Sign in now.